Today on Geek Shop, we're talking to our friend Derek, who knows a thing or two about pencils and pens. So, let's take a walk to the Geek Shop. Welcome to another episode of the Geek Shop. Today we are talking with Derek.
Hi.
Say hello, Derek.
Hi.
Hi.
And Chetan, as always, is here.
Hello.
Hi, Chetan.
Okay, so today I think with Derek here, Derek's kind of amongst our group of friends, kind of a legend with pencils and tools, and I think that's where we definitely have to start, because the one thing is he has first of all, his knowledge and his experimentation and everything that with tools is amazing, but it also shows in his work, because it's a lot of his work almost looks like this multimedia frenzy of energy in his artwork that's so reflects, I think, the diversity of tools and just his knowledge of comic book making tools. So, Derek, what would you say is your main tool that you use when you're making it, when you're doing a comic book page? So we won't talk about pinups or covers or anything, but a comic book page. What's your main tools?
My main tools are varying. I have these pencils, these Blackwing pencils. They're the grading system's a little bit different than the typical 9H to 9B. There's only about 5 grades, but they're really smooth. I enjoy using them. They just glide on paper. As far as inking, I've been using a lot of some of my more recent books. I've actually been going back to experimenting with the old school ink quill and brushes. Show you my coffee mug of brushes. Chetan may recognize my mascot.
Molitor.
Molitor, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. For your Blackwing pencils, I've noticed you're using the white tip ones sometimes.
Okay. Oh. This here. Or...
Oh, is that a white tip, or is it just the way the pencil is?
It's just the way the pencil is. I have a subscription to Blackwing. Every year they send me, every quarter they send me a dozen different pencils that are different design than the 4 basic ones you get every year. So they look a little different. This was just the one that I pulled out of the box this week. I have a little. Sorry, I have a little.
The reason
holder.
I mention that is, when you post your images, I see the white tip, and I'm thinking, is that how he draws with the white tip?
No, white tip. I do have this is the white tip here. This is a little.
Is that an eraser?
Yes, it is. Just a little eraser.
No,
Quickie eraser.
I think it was just the wavy pencil was showing where it's flat and everything. I thought the graphite was the same size, and I was thinking, okay, you know what? That's an awkward way to draw.
Oh no. No, just the regular pencil. And like I said, I usually like to keep a bunch of different ones here. Sometimes I use non-photo blue. I've been doing that with the borders on our most recent book, because the boards I got didn't have any of the inner. They have the 10 by 15 border, but they didn't have the inner border that your publication specs kind of have. So I kind of penciled it in with that one manually.
So one of my questions about all the pencils you have, do you have a go-to pencil, or do you just like to randomly grab and just whatever it gives you is what it gives you?
Typically I gear towards the what I've been doing lately is it's kind of weird. I'll actually lay out do my layouts with the softer pencil. I was never a fan of the soft leads growing up, because I had more of a heavy hand. I've been learning to control that, but I find if I lay out with the soft pencil, I can go onto the page pretty quick, very light, and it's a lot easier to kind of erase all the unnecessary stuff, but still leave enough in there. And then I'll go in with a firmer lead, and that's where I do my more detailed rendering and corrections.
Okay.
So it's kind
And I guess, do you experiment like when you're doing, like, because you were telling the subscription sounds amazing. It sounds like you probably get stuff that you wouldn't even have thought you would want, and then suddenly you get to sort of try something new, right?
Well, yeah, under my own power, I don't think because I had more of a preference for firmer pencils, like going to the art store, I'd make a habit of going to the art store and just picking my pencil of choice. But with the subscriptions, like it'll be a different one. I think I've got one set to come out within the next month, which is going to be an extra firm, which I like. But the next one after that, it may be middle or extremely soft, one way or the other. Last year, they threw a curveball at me. One of the pencils introduced a double extra firm, which was never like a product they had prior to this point, and I don't know if they're going to make it a mainstream like pencil. Kind of hope they do. It's nice, but
Okay.
and
So
I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
You don't get to choose what pencils you they send you, or they just randomly send you pencils.
No, they just send you like it's usually a theme, and like they don't give you a choice in like the leads. Like, here's what we give you. You get your 12 pencils. They give you a 13th pencil that they put in an kind of in an archival tube for collectors, because once that particular design of pencil is sold out, they don't make it anymore. So they kind of give you...
That would frustrate me.
Yeah.
That would frustrate me to no end. It'd be like, I love this pencil. I need more.
Yes.
Yeah, now, some of them take a while. I think I did come close. When I first became aware of these pencils, came across a stationery shop in Toronto that was, and I didn't know if it was a special lead or not, but it was a comic book themed pencil. And it had like the 4 CMYK colors and a funky design, and I thought it was a special graphite. That's when I learned, like, no, it's one of the regular pencils, but it looks like a cool comic book themed. And I think, I'm trying to remember what they did with that, but part of the package too is they give you a little freebie that's relevant to the theme they're going for. One that stuck out was like a Dungeons and Dragons themed like dice game setup, and then they sent me a 20-sided dice as part
That's
of...
awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not even like much of a board game player, but I thought, oh, that is cool. But
Yeah, that is awesome.
but yeah, another thing. Oh, sorry.
No, so mentioning that, let's do some. Hopefully, we get sponsorship from Blackwing. Mention.
I've been trying.
Yeah, let's see what they're. Explain how much you pay a year, how many pencils you get, the whole spiel.
Okay, I just had a renewal last week, and because we're in Canada, this is an American company. There's going to be some. So I ended up, I think it was Canadian taxes, duties, exchange rate, all that. I paid $229 for the year, and that does seem a little. It actually scared me because, again, we never know what's going on with exchange rates and duties and whatnot. It seems to be arbitrary, but that price does cover all that. And 4 times a year, they send you they send you kind of a box like this. Actually, this is the box with, I have to figure out a better way to organize this, but they send you a box. They'll give you like 12 pencils that you can actually use, and then the 13th one, like that's the archival, and it gives you like the pencil make, the graphite and the test and all that. So it's that 13th pencil kind of is there to keep for your collection if you've burned up the other 12, or if you decided you wanted to buy an extra set of things. And again, some of the other things you get, like example, there was last year I got one that was like themed on the Beatles, and came with like a postcard. So you get
awesome.
So you get one little. There's nothing in that postcard, but you got one little freebie, and it's something that I haven't put it together yet. But the Chuck Jones themed pencil I got when I first became aware of the subscription, because the thought was, well, I use pencils, and if they're being sent to my house every few months, that's kind of one less shopping list I have to do.
Yeah.
That's so to speak. But there was the Chuck Jones pencil, and they actually put together a little wheel. I haven't put it together, but it's a little wheel that'll actually animate the subject. Like I said, I just have to put it together. But it's all like, but the little extra is based on whatever theme or person they're contributing. And then I have a little one who also likes doing art, but she has a preference to the softer pencils. So when the softer pencils come in, I just give her more of those pencils. I give her some of the firmer graphites too, but she gets a bulk of the soft ones. Although since I've been working the way I've been working lately, laying out with the soft ones, she might be getting a little less of those.
But that's the good part about this is, you know, it's like Chris and I were saying when we used to work at the art store. You know, in the art store we tested out a lot of things and stuff, but you know, once you get away from that, you know, art pencils are expensive, so you don't want to test, you know, try out a lot of different things. Where in this situation, you get to try it out and see which ones you like. Now the drawback is you get to try everything, but the disadvantage is what Chris said is if you like a pencil, hopefully they have it in stock where you can order more.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's actually how I came across these. My local art store actually was just right up there. Hey, we got a new pencil, try it. And I guess they bought a few sets for themselves and packaged it with one of the sketchbooks they had on sale. So it's like, well, I needed to come in for a sketch pad anyway. Oh, it comes with a free pencil? Cool. And then we don't like they're the only real art store I have in my area now is Michael's. So they don't like they have some stuff, but they don't have like some of the deeper cut stuff like a Curry's or like an actual art store would have or think of.
Yeah. I agree. I find the craft stores can be hit or miss. Mm-hmm. You know, like it really depends on what they ordered that particular time, and it's never consistent.
Yeah, and the other thing too is the other. I'm going to skip ahead here. One of the other tools is I use my Copic markers.
I was going to mention that. Yes.
Yeah, now, I'm a huge fan of Copic markers too. So.
Mm-hmm. And well, it started as I had another set of markers, the Letra sets from college, and since college was a while ago, those markers start dying out, and then, you know, about 10, 12 years ago, I find out, oh, there's a marker that you can buy refills for that you can basically repair on the nib, so I don't have to buy new markers every time. I buy a marker once, and if the nibs are damaged, I can buy replacements, and I can top up the upfront cost is a little pricey, but when you kind of get it back when you don't have to buy a new marker every time your marker dies at a fraction of the cost, it kind of really levels out.
And the ink refills are like at least 3 or 4 refills from at least what I've come across.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's amazingly cheap. It's so much cheaper than the marker itself just for the refill, and you get basically like 4 markers out of it.
Oh, exactly. And that was for a while there. And again, when we had our local Curry's, I used to be able to get the marker, used to be able to get the replacement nibs, and used to be able to get the refill ink. Craft store, I can buy the markers, and that's it. And that's it. Now there's a couple now I have to get everything online. There's a couple stores for Copics I go online. One's here in Canada, and one's down in Florida. Small business, I guess, like no physical store. They just basically work in a warehouse. And now I like the Otako fuel I use more often. which they're located out in Florida, I find the customer service for just one person doing the job is excellent. So I always go back. But like, again, living in Canada, it has to be like enough of an order where I can justify the shipping, the duty, and all that.
That's it, yes.
Yeah, like I'd hate to buy like 2 refills and then find that the shipping and the duty is going to cost me more than the supplies I'm buying. So I feel like I have to get at least like, save up at least $100 or so for like do a big thing of supplies, something that I can justify that shipping without bankrupting me.
Yeah,
So
I totally get that.
So
even I live in Asia now. I'm in Asia, and even a lot of stores don't carry the refills for some reason. Like there's a few that do, but most of the stores that I find in Asia, they'll order any refills you want. Like if they sell Copics, they'll order them for you. But it's like I have to be in that particular country. Certain countries have more, like Thailand and Japan will have more stores that'll carry Copic markers, but some of the other places, in particular where I live, does not sell them at all. So I find that if I have to, I almost have to like email them ahead of time if I'm visiting that country and be like, okay, can I order a few, and they get them in fairly well. But even it's the one thing I will say, the one downfall of Copic markers is just the fact that the ink refills, not everybody keeps them. I've never seen a store with a ready supply, even ones that sell like huge supplies of the markers, the refillings.
No,
I almost never see them. I think they almost rely exclusively on people ordering them.
Well, because a lot of people. Sorry. I think a lot of people don't expect to have refills on them. Like general public, young artists and stuff, they probably saying, you know what, I'll just buy a new marker.
Yeah, like I don't even know if it's aware. Like I said, if you're at the Michaels, I'm not even sure if you can get the refills and the replacement nibs online. When I used to have a Curry's, I could get that. Like they had them on the shelves. Like I can buy like a couple of markers, buy the corresponding nibs, and if they had it in stock, the like about 8 times out of 10, I'd also be able to get the refill, and that's how when I add new Copics to my collection. Instead of buying a bunch of markers right away, I'll maybe buy a few markers, but I'll also buy a couple of packs of the nibs I need to replace, and then a refill of the color I'm buying, just so I have it all in like one shot. And it always kills me when they don't have that. Like I worked in retail a lot of years, and the one thing that they always used to drill in you, like, and this is between toy store and consumer electronics, so they always used to drill in the add-ons, that last minute grab at the cash, the extended warranty, what have you. But to have a craft store that sells markers that are refillable and the nibs are replaceable, and then they don't sell the add-ons, that just kind of feels like retail, like a fail on Retail 101.
Okay, so I mean, we've been talking about pencils, we've been talking about Copic markers. I think the thing that gets me all the time with when I'm drawing stuff too is paper. Now, do you, like, I know you have this, I see you online talking about the pencils and you talking about Copics and everything. Do you have a paper choice? And Chetan, I can ask you the same question. Are you like picky about your paper, or is it just, you'll take anything you can grab?
Let's get Derek. Yeah.
Derek, we'll start with you.
I'm kind of in a constant state of discovery. I use like a lot of us, the Strathmore papers and whatnot. But every once in a while, I'll come across like an artist I admire online, and they'll kind of turn me on, like point me towards another paper, like say for the comics, shameless plug. This is from Eon, a company called Eon in the US. I heard got a lot of good reviews off of them. So again, being an American company and me living in Canada, I saved up about $150 plus shipping and whatnot, and bought a couple packets of those to try out, like kind of one of each, and I've been gearing towards that. Now, the downside, because I haven't found a retailer in Canada that sells them, like either in store or as part of an online art store, so when that paper runs out, I'm either going to have to save that up again and justify spending $100 or a couple $100 to have that shipped here, or I go to Michael's and kind of get what's there, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I like them, but I do find that this paper has been taking a lot of the multimedia punishment that I kind of dish out on my pieces, because I also add Posca pens to the mix as well.
Oh,
like,
wow.
if I and my
paint.
they're acrylic paint markers, and my daughter got me my daughter told me about these, and she started, Mom, Dad, I want Poscas for Christmas, or Grandma, Grandpa, Arts, I want these markers. And then so she had a few of them. I tried them out, and because they're acrylic markers, like, if I for a lot of the TikTok Tom stuff I've been doing, I actually do the coloring on the page. This is out of the Lost in Love.
That was my one question I was going to ask is, do you photocopy your black and white and color it on top of photocopies, or now you just answered it on the original?
Yeah, I probably should be copying them and coloring on the copies, but no, I did it on the originals. Like I said, I probably should have made copies of that in case I made an egregious mistake. I've been lucky so far that I nothing that I'm like, oh shoot, I have to redraw this entire thing because I picked the wrong color. But
one thing that I do is when I teach art classes, I always tell students, everything you have comes in a black and a white. So if you make an error, you can go over it in black or white and fix it. So it's like, paint, when I'm teaching like painting classes, I say, paint comes in black and white. So if you make a mistake, just paint over it with white and, or, redo it, or, so it's something that I think it's a mental block that a lot of people have a problem with. It's like, I want to preserve this or save this, but I actually think you're very brave, and it's probably helps, like, your style is very sort of bold and kind of, it's got an energy to it. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that you're not sort of particular and fussy about, I've got to save this line's got to be exactly this and all this. Like, you're sort of just letting the energy come out on the page. And I think your fearlessness with actually drawing on the originals might be a reason why you're able to do that.
And it's funny because as I was starting, I think most artists my age have been a big fan of Jim Lee. So try to get that exact perfect line or what have you. And for a lot of time, I was trying for that and failing miserably at that kind of style. It was actually my wife that prompted me, like, at one point, she'd see what I have in my sketchbook. She'd like what I have in the sketchbook. And then when I got it, by the time I got it to finished, it's like, all the cool stuff that I liked in the sketchbook is gone here. So she kind of was the one that kind of point out, like, no, maybe like the rougher, sketchier style. Like, I know you're trying to be like refined, or even like when we met, I was trying to do like more the animated, like that Bruce Timm style, like try to use as few lines as possible. But she kind of brought it like, maybe you're just meant to be like that, like the unrefined, sketchy artist. And that was kind of a positive stepping stone for me to.
That's great to hear, because
and it suits you. It totally suits you. I think you're a good analogy would be, you're not Bruce Timm, you're Sam Keith. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. You know what I mean? Like, Sam Keith to me is one of the best artists out there. And that style of sort of really loose, I heard one story once, I think it's an issue of the Max, the scanner, the guy who had to scan, he glued a googly eye to one of it. Like one of those actual, like, you shake it and it Googles. And so some poor guy who was scanning the page had to figure out, how am I supposed to scan a googly eye?
He put that on the page?
Like, he literally glued a googly eye, like one of those like those ones that you shake it and it wobbles. There's an issue of the Max where there's like this really weird looking eyeball, and it's actually like, if you shake the original artwork, it's a googly eye that moves.
Oh, I did not realize that. That is so cool. No, and Sam Keith was one of those influences growing up. Chetan and I have had these on like conversations on live streams. I was like 90s teenager that was all in on the Image Exodus. And like I was aware of Sam Keith doing Wolverine in the Marvel Comics Presents stories, and then he got to do his own thing. And it's funny looking at all the other stuff, trying to be polished and whatnot. But that was one of those ones that kind of stood out. Like I wasn't thinking at the time, oh, I should imitate this, but like as a fan, I'm like, oh, this looks so weird, like this, and it's kind of, and it's like cool weird.
Yeah, it is. I'm a huge fan. Like he's probably on my top 5 artists. Like if he makes something, I will read it.
So mentioning on that topic, Derek, mention some of your influences.
Like I said, I was like big on the Image Exodus and all of those guys, for better or worse. And I'm going to say for better or worse, because some stuff I look back now, like I was a fan of this. Oh boy. But the biggest one out of that bunch is I'm a sucker for Eric Larson. I still that's the one Image Founder book that I kept with since I was 14. I still read it in some fashion. There was a lot of years I was going digital because I couldn't get my local store to carry it for me until very recently. But that was the one book I never gave up on, and that was kind of one of the times where I put together, like Marvel used to have these milestone reprints back in the day too, like they'd reprint like their first Hulk appearance, and for some reason I was connecting the dots to Larson. Like, oh, he's trying to do this Jack Kirby character, because I wasn't aware of Jack Kirby. Like that was kind of my first awareness of Jack Kirby. Like so, like
I will be 100% honest with you. And I mean no disrespect, but Savage Dragon fits into my collection of books that I've tried to read but couldn't get into, and I don't know why. Like, it's not that I have anything against it or that I dislike it, but it's like we were talking about this in our last episode. Love and Rockets is the other one I've tried to read 100 times, and I just every time I get to like the 4th or 5th issue, I'm just getting not picking up on it. So what is it about Savage Dragon that really
I
gets
think
you?
Well, the biggest thing is because the book has been in real time, so the characters have kind of grown up in age and whatnot. Now it's not even like the original character. His son's taken over the book for the last 10 years because he was born in, like, say 96, 97, so now that puts him more in his late 20s.
Oh, really? Wow.
And there was a lot of years. It's funny because there's been a political bent to it, and during the time that Donald Trump won the presidency, got into, like, took the MAGA and took the get rid of illegal aliens to another level, because Dragon is literally half, like, alien. So he and him and his family ended up relocating to Toronto for a bulk of that administration.
Oh, I remember that. I remember the
Cool.
Yeah, about a good 5-year stretch where the book took place in Toronto, Canada, and also, like, again, starting to get into that comics that age. Like, I wasn't quite aware of the Chris Claremont X-Men stuff as a kid. But when I started getting aware of X-Men, it was like post-Claremont, and you had the writers trying to do their best Claremont. A lot of text balloons that really say nothing, pinups, and plot threads that went on forever. And the one thing that was refreshing about the Dragon book, especially as a teenager, plot threads got finished. Like, the book started with, oh, I'm a cop and this is an evil, like, crime lord. I have to take him down. That didn't stretch to 100 issues. Like, that got sorted after about issue 25. But you saw plot points resolve in a good way, and then, oh, okay, by issue 26, he's not a cop anymore. He's a bounty hunter. And then by issue 42, it's like, oh, he got hired to head up a superhero task force because the rest of Image kicked Rob Liefeld out of Image, and they didn't have a super celebrity team anymore, so they hired Dragon to be that.
So one thing,
but like a constant state of evolution.
One thing I have to give Eric Larson a lot of credit for, he stuck through that book. I don't know what issue it's up to, but he wrote and drew every issue.
I think I've got the newest copy. It's like a 271, 272 now.
Really? I was about to say.
I knew he was gearing towards 300. I knew that he was getting
So
close
you have to
to
give
300.
him credit for sticking. You know, like unlike some of the other image artists and other, creators. They got fill-in issues. They got other people to take over. Where Larson stuck to it.
Oh yeah, and I know everyone was all great. Oh, Spawn hit 300. I'm more excited about this hitting 300 because it's been Eric Larson's hand. Actually, it was so funny. He was so obsessed with keeping that number. I don't know if you guys remember the gimmick, the Image X month, where creators swapped books.
No.
Okay, you remember? Yeah, you remember what I'm talking about. And they had Jim Lee in studio do an issue of Savage Dragon. Eric Larson actually, like issue 13 or whatever. But Eric Larson went back and did an issue 13 just because he didn't want to have that uninterrupted run.
So I heard about that.
So there's 2 issue 13s, one by Jim Lee and one by Eric Larson.
You've convinced me that I think what I'm missing about Savage Dragon might be the fact that I just give up at issue 5. So maybe I need to stick it out to try again and stick it out to issue 25 or maybe even 50 and just really try and sort of, it seems like there's a larger narrative there that's worth hanging on to.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that kind of hit that switch, because at the same time I'm also again reading some of those Image stuff, and Spawn I dropped early on because it felt like nothing got resolved, and then every once in a while I come in and if there's an artist that I like, oh, he's drawing this, I'll check this out, and then I'm seeing, oh wow, it seems like the same 5 points over and over again. Maybe you should have given Neil Gaiman a better contract.
So mentioning that, what else are you reading? Are you reading a lot of recent comics?
Not a lot. Right now on my regular list is my regular monthly pull list is Dragon and Transformers, the new Skybound Transformers. I somehow missed the IDW Transformers line entirely. Started collecting Dreamwave, got out, and then found out that Robert Kirkman's studio was taking over, so I thought give that a shot. Outside of that, a lot of my
Transformers. Chris and I were talking about your Transformers collection behind you.
Oh yeah, going 40 years strong. I don't know if I have a lot of the original toys I had, because as a kid I played with them and beat the ever-living tar out of them, so every once in a while I have to buy a new version. But yeah, no, most of my shelf is just Transformers. And it's not I don't have a specific collection. Every once in a while I'll just come across, ooh, this looks cool. Or, oh, I remember this character is a kid, or this toy is a kid that I never had as a kid, so I'll go, get that one that I missed out the first time around, so to speak.
It's awesome.
The other books, because I only have 2 monthly comics on my pull list, I've been, I don't know if it's a midlife thing, but I've been, buying trades or hardcovers of some of the arcs that I was aware of when I, as a teenager, as a kid, that I never picked up for whatever reason. Been a big John Romita Jr. fan, and I missed his entire Daredevil arc because I was only 10 and the local comic store the local convenience store wasn't getting Daredevil in on
That's
monthly.
The Typhoid Mary storyline, right?
Yeah, I've got a Typhoid Mary. I think there's an issue where he fights Ultron, and then
Yes. No, I used to buy those. I'm gonna sound old, but I remember buying those when they came out.
Yeah.
You don't sound old. You are old.
Yeah, more color in his hair than I do.
Okay, so now, mentioning you use pencils and markers, have you dabbled in watercolors or paints or anything like that?
I've been getting...
For your comic work?
Not for my comic work yet. I have been dabbling with watercolor. I have a mentor that I found on YouTube. he hosts the channel Cartoon Block. His name's Evan Burse, and I've been learning with him for the better part of 8 or 9 years now. And lately he's been on a big watercolor kick. So once a week we get together for like just to hang out and we draw, and we've been doing a lot of watercolor. Let's see if I can.
Also, local guy you need to talk to about watercolors is Tom. Tom Yo. Yeah.
Oh, I believe.
Check out his watercolor. Tom Yo. Tom's amazing at watercolors.
Tom is like absolutely brilliant at watercolors. It's amazing what that guy can do.
Okay, no, I know he's the only tried to show me a tutorial on hand lettering with the Ames guide, and I haven't wrapped my head around that yet. So I have been working with a little bit of watercolor. This is
very good. Very good.
So it's
awesome.
It's a bit of a recent development, but I'm still kind of on that, like I haven't felt comfortable using my watercolor, say, on my Bristol board, because even the watercolor, you know how the paper kind of buckles.
Yes.
And I'm still learning like how much water can I get away with before the paper just.
Yeah.
That's my issue all the time.
So
Now, question for you now. Are you transitioning to digital?
Right now, I updated my iPad last year. I keep trying to learn, but I just always go back to paper. Right now, I've been using the digital to maybe clean up my artwork once I scan it. But I haven't been doing any concrete work digitally yet. It's something in the back of my head, but just, I don't know, I just have to force myself to start putting in more time with the tablet.
I would say, I mean, my advice would be to don't rush it. Play around with it a little bit, and you'll find eventually you'll like the way that I sort of got into drawing on my tablet. I've been using digital forever in some form or another, but as far as actually drawing a whole image on a tablet, I do that now, but I found that doing what you're doing, using it just to touch up at first, then after a while I might use it to create solid colors, sort of in areas that needed it, or adjustments, or just little touch-ups here and there. And then eventually it's sort of it just grew and grew. And so to the point where I'm like, oh, you know what, I'll just do this one digitally entirely. So I always feel like there's this idea that it's well, I need to go entirely digital. And I think that's a bit of a problem in the world, because sometimes people go entirely digital and it kind of ruins their style a little bit. And there's just something, nice. Not that I think as well, digital artists are well, I need to try ink. And it's well, maybe it's just not your thing. And I think that we, as artists, we have to accept more that it's just a type of tool. It's like a different, a pencil, or it's like deciding to use brushes or a crow quill on ink. It's a different tool. Maybe it suits your style, maybe it doesn't. Don't pressure yourself into do it, I think. And, obviously use it if you think you can use it for certain things, but, it's just like another pencil. It's not worth dedicating your life to it, I think.
Okay. No, and that's with our Gorilla book that we did. I said a lot of that was about when I got the iPad, and that was when I started kind of noticing, because I did all the artwork on color on the board, I noticed, I need to punch the blacks up, leave the rest of this alone. So I kind of do a little bit of a re-ink. So I find that I've gotten a little more confident kind of inking artwork that way and touching up the color. But for whatever reason, just actually coming up with the initial sketch or whatnot, that's still kind of getting away from me a little bit. But touching up my traditional art, that's kind of in my comfort zone at the moment.
Yeah. Other than maybe if you're an environmentalist and worried about cutting down trees for paper, I think it's totally cool. I even I would say 95% of my sketches are all still on paper. Even my stuff that's sort of finished digitally and almost entirely for inking and coloring. But 95% of my sketches are still just paper and layering on and playing around with that. So it's I always get frustrated when there's this grand divide between digital and sort of analog art, when I really think that it's a tool in your tool belt, not
the be all and
a
end all.
way of life to shift to.
Oh no,
It's not a way to shift to.
No, not at all. And actually, the other thing that keeps me analog, this is my little travel sketchbook. I take this to my job with me now. I'm a steel worker. I work in a crane. Like, that's how I wish I could pay the bills with the art, but not yet. But I find in an environment like that, I don't always want to take, say, like my iPad. It's a lot of dirt, a lot of smoke or whatnot. But you can, like a sketch pad, like a little sketch pad like this, like smoke and dirt and whatnot doesn't clog up pencil and paper.
Yep.
And if we have a little bit of downtime, because a lot of my job is hurry up and wait. I literally have to wait and watch steel melt and finish melting before I can do my job again. So that gives me like 10-15 minutes to maybe work out a sketch, work out an idea I have for a story or whatnot, because my writing process is, it's a train wreck.
So mentioning that, do you want to briefly explain your process on how you create a page from writing to the final art?
It's been a little bit different. Like, I've never been able to kind of sit down and kind of get in the notebook, and I've tried like write out, here's what I want the character to do. Here's how many pages I want it to be, and it just never worked for me. So, and because of the stories we've done, even the ones that I've like kind of written out in my head when you explain the theme to us, because for the TikTok, like a lot of the stuff, it's like, we're doing a tribute to this genre or a song title name, and it's like, okay, I like the first one I did that you invited me for was So What, and I'm like, how do I fill up pages for So What? And then my story ended up being 2 pages. Character killing Molitor in the coffee shop in broad daylight. So what? So, but the second story we did for Dead Souls, I think in my head that I ended up like thinking that was only going to be 5 or 6 pages, and then I had to ask, can I stretch this out to 9 or 10? It ended up being 10 pages because an idea kind of got wedged in there.
So do you write out your story as a plot or a script, or do you just go on the page? Reason I ask is, see previous episode, but Massimo mentioned his version of how he does his creative process.
Okay, I've seen it, but I have to watch something a few times before it kind of kicks in the memory. I'll probably watch it again after this.
No, but on your process, do you write out a script, or do you write out a plot, or do you just go on the page and say, okay, I have a rough idea, I'm just going to draw it out?
I do a little bit of both. I'll maybe sketch out an idea in my sketch pad, and then I'll add some notes as I see, or kind of get some ideas in there about what I want to do. And then sometimes the layouts, what I try to do with my page layouts, I try to get, like, with every page, I try to get whatever plot point I cross on one page before I switch the scene. So it's not like a scene change halfway through a page. There's a part of me that's thinking, if I were to show this, say, online as a daily strip, I want like kind of that one page's plot point, start, middle, end on the one page, and then do the other one. It's...
Oh, that's okay.
Just the odd things I try to think about. And I remember for the Gorilla book we ended up doing, I ended up having, 3 splash pages, which kind of was fun. Like out of a 9-page story, and it's like Gorilla, Molitor, regular Molitor, and TikTok Tom and the weird indigo mask that I found in one TikTok Tom story, and I just love the look, so I keep finding a way to bring it back.
I think that style works. I think that style works for you though. Again, because you have that sort of, and I'm going to go back to sort of Sam Keith's sort of like really energetic style.
Oh,
and so
definitely.
I think that with a lot of your stuff, it works really well because and even like the big pages, because you're sort of, it's like a story, then it explodes into this energy, then a story, then it explodes into this energy. It's kind of a wild ride you often take in your stories, and I think it works. And I even think, like you were talking about, how you're not really sitting there writing a script or anything like that. I think that works with your style. I think that'd be perfect. I feel like if I was to give you a script and say you have to follow this, you would probably lock up, and I would never do that to you. I feel like I'd be like, write a story. I'd be like, give you like a very brief and be like, write a story about this and just go nuts. And I think it works for your style. And I think that's we've talked about this a bunch of times on the show where the best thing about indie comics is you're not sort of stuck to these big studio styles where it's like, here's your script, follow this exactly. And I think you're one of the great examples of that, because I think your style is just so sort of big and bold, and it gets a little crazy and energetic that it works well in that idea of like, you can just go out there and just jump in at a story and there's action and everything like that just happening. So it's pretty cool. So I think whatever you're doing works. So don't change it.
Oh, thanks. I think part of that too kind of came from a frustration because I'm noticing I'm not getting a lot of I'm not picking up a lot of new stuff, Marvel and DC, because for the better part of the 21st century, a lot of it is since everything's built up for the trade, you can buy a single issue of those and not get the full story, and it's a lot of talking heads. Like, I understand the decade I grew up in, it was a lot of splash pages and action shots and a lot of text and not really saying anything, so the stories were kind of weak in that era. But then 21st century kind of corrected that story-wise, but on paper it looks like, couple talking heads and then maybe severely referenced, almost traced like fight, and it looks kind of bland. I'm just like, I guess myself, I'm trying to find kind of a mid ground. I want like a good coherent story where I don't have to have like a ton of text balloons, because I'm hoping that I kind of got what I wanted to say in the art on the pages, and that's where I love guys like John Romita Jr. or Chetan and I talked a great detail of the Spectacular Spider-Man run by J.M. DeMatteis and Sal Buscema in that era. Like, you got like, those guys are such good storytellers. Writers have gone on record to say, I had all this dialogue, I had all these captions all ready to go, and then I got the pages in from these guys, and now I can't use half my text because they got everything on the art. Like the facial expressions, the mood.
That's the great part where comics-wise, visually, if the writer gives you a plot or a script, you should be able to tell a story without even reading any of the dialogue, hopefully.
Right, and that's always and that's like something I do try for, like just try to get everything clearly. If, like, say my wife or daughter looks at a page and they ask, what's going on here? I feel like, oh, maybe I did not do this clearly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're not, like, my wife reads a lot of comics, but my daughter, not so much. The odd thing here or there, like, she was a big fan of the DC Supergirl stuff when she was younger. And then they arbitrarily changed that, and then it was a style she didn't like anymore. But when they look at a page and they ask what's going on, it's like, oh, if I should be able to, like, draw this down in a way that even they get what's happening, and even just the context of that one page. Like, oh, Iggy's walking to get coffee. I can see that. Yeah. And if they can see that and it's clear to them, then it'll be clear to anyone.
And that's your perfect audience to look at it and say, you know what, I understood it, or I don't like it. And I hate to say, a wife and daughter are going to be 100% honest with you on that.
Oh yeah, no, neither one of them beat around the bush when they find something they don't like. So it's kind of that blunt, like, honesty you kind of need to grow. I've seen a lot of talented artists that don't push themselves. What'll happen is, oh, I don't know, hip looks funky, or those breasts are way too big for her head, or something, and then it's, oh, that you don't understand that you didn't go to art school, Derek. Like, that's just a style. It's like, I know how to count spaces between eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Cool.
Yeah.
as an audience member, this looks kind of funky, and if someone without an art school education is finding something off, you might need to reevaluate it. But some of those artists don't, and then they don't grow and evolve. And I'm hoping I never get to that point where I don't grow and evolve. I might smarten up
No,
and.
just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Derek. So what are you working on currently?
I am finishing up the TikTok Tom story that you wrote for me earlier in the summer. I've got, like, I'm at that point where
Yeah,
I'm.
show us some of the pages.
All right, so like, I've got the pages, like, kind of roughly all inked out, but I kind of tend to go back and see if there's something I missed, or if there's something I have to maybe white out instead. Make sure everything's all.
There's always something you missed. Every time we look at our pages, we always want to correct it.
Oh yeah, and then I have to get to a point. It's like, all right, I'm done. Time to, for better or worse, time to let it out. And I think that's almost artist's weakness. We can tweak forever.
Okay, well, we're gonna end this episode. Thank you, Derek, for joining us today, and thank you for giving us all this experience. Your knowledge on all the tools of the trade, pencils, markers, and how you do your artwork. And where can people find you online?
Find me all sorts of places online these days. I post regularly on Instagram. I've been working on getting Molitor Mondays and TikTok Tom Tuesdays to be a reoccurring hashtag. So Instagram is, like, probably my main spot for the still pictures. For my live streams, I've been experimenting with Twitch. Also have Facebook and Twitter. I'm not calling it X, but all under Derek Barton Art. Just one name.
Cool.
I'll send you the link, but yeah, it's all one name, so I'm fairly easy to find on all the.
Cool. We'll put links in the description below, so don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
And as far as, I'll just go on a quick tangent. As far as the live streaming, I've just started doing it on YouTube. Do you have fun doing that? Is that something you enjoy?
It's not bad. I do find, because I'm still, like, kind of getting used to the idea of like, I use a restream so I can simultaneously stream to Twitch and YouTube at the same time.
Okay.
Because it's funny, Twitch, I haven't figured out how to natively stream with my webcam and computer. I can stream natively through my phone, but because YouTube, I don't have the following yet to be able to stream on my phone, I have to use a webcam, like in my computer. But using a service like Restream, I can use my computer and I can use my webcam and mic and stream on both of those at the same time. And it's fun. I like to get my drawing out. It really depends on the audience interaction. If there's no, like, very few or not, and if no one shows up, then I feel like, oh, and now I'm rambling because no one started a conversation with me yet.
So how often do you do your live stream so people could watch it?
I'm still trying to work out a schedule because of my bill-paying job. I don't want to say day job because I work shift. I work 12-hour shift, day or night. So, like, I always just arbitrarily kind of show up on days off if I've got nothing else going on my day off, or if I'm waiting for laundry. My laundry room is next to my studio, so that's a task I can take credit for. Well, honey, I'm doing the laundry. Meanwhile, it's a lot of machines doing work, and I'm in the next room drawing.
Nice.
So people could just check out your Instagram page and find if you're live streaming at that point, or your Facebook page, or
Yes.
your or Twitter page and just find out if you're live streaming.
Yes, because I do give I found out on the restream, I can actually do like a 5 or 10 minute countdown, and as I'm starting to share, hey guys, I'm going live.
Oh, perfect.
And as
perfect.
I'm going live, you'll see like a countdown first, but that gives me time to share with all the social media, like either my public social media, or if I want to bother my personal friends on Facebook, hey guys, come on, check me out. I'll be doing Twitch, and because I'm sharing the link, it'll share. The only thing that sucks with Instagram is you can't share the link in the comments, so I have to be like, link in bio, because you can't have a live link in your
That's
comments.
it, yes. No, but people will find you. That's the thing.
I feel like, Derek, we could probably do another episode just talking about streaming and web and stuff, and you'd be the perfect guest to have for that. So we're going to have you on again for sure. At least talk about that, because the way you interact and the way you post stuff, and the idea of doing like the Mulder Monday and the TikTok Tom Tuesday.
I sometimes do TikTok Tom Thursday if the Thursday's the day I have off. But I've done enough of those now that even if I'm stuck, I'll like go into the archives and come across an older piece and kind of reshare that. And that's a nice thing with social media. Like, I try to post as often as I can, and if I haven't come up with anything new, I can kind of cycle back. Like, all right, here's one from a couple of years ago. Like, just to get that.
So this will be Derek's first appearance. He'll be appearing again sometime soon in our next issue of Geek Shop.
I think so. I think that's 100%.
Oh, awesome.
So,
thank you very much,
thanks
guys.
for being with us, Derek.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it's an education and an inspiration. So thanks definitely for being here.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you guys both. Appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.
And don't forget to check us out the next issue, right, Chetan?
Yes, next issue coming soon.